questions for Coach Moore?
Coach, what are the next two practices going to look like as far as Neil said, kind of looking at potential personnel changes?
Yeah, we gotta get some other guys in there and see what they can do in these next 2 days. See how they can handle, especially some good stuff, and try some new guys. I mean, you can't keep the same line and expect something different to happen. So we got to make some changes, these next 2 days of practice are gonna tell us, who can perform and who doesn't.
It's kind of tricky when you're trying to develop continuity with a group and then you're still trying to figure out who that group is. I mean, how do you balance that?
Well, you'd like to just keep fighting through with the guys you got, but their performance is so poor you can't do it. If you were average or if you were mediocre, you could say, okay, we're going to keep getting better at this spot. But when you perform as poorly as we have 2 weeks in a row, you got to start making changes, and continuity's just got to come later. You got to try to get people in there that can make the blocks you need made and can play the way you want them to play and do the things that they're coached to do. And that's my job is getting those guys in there, finding somebody that can get in there and do what they're supposed to do. What
are the different challenges facing NC State's front as opposed to what you faced last week?
Oh, NC State, they're good up front too. I mean, they've got good players. They just play a different front. A lot more 3 down, a lot more movement. Blitzes, stuff like that. With a 4 linebacker scheme, and they're bringing people from everywhere. So it definitely creates a different issue for us. I don't know if they have the guy like like the Elliott kid that we saw last week, but they do have some. They got some good down linemen. They got 2 good rush ends that do a really good job, and they got a nose guard that's a strong kid playing in there. And really, this is more about we got to get us right than who we're going against. So that's my big goal this week is we got to get us right. We got to make sure that we're doing the detail things that we need to do and have our eyes where they're supposed to be. And for my guys last week, it wasn't as much. The first week they were kind of easing off the ball, making sure they had hats on hats, and then last week we talked all about strain and about playing hard and coming off the ball, and we did that, but we just totally lost all of our technique, and we were, the D line was moving, and we were missing them, and doing things like that. So with a young group, an inexperienced group like this, I gotta, the one guy that played really well was Colton. He went out there and played really well, but the rest of the guys we didn't play up to par, and I got to fix that.
How are they handling the pre-snap movement? Not very well, I guess. Is that?
Well, a lot of it was not having our eyes where they need to be, not having our eyes up. I mean, you look at them on film, and a lot of them are, they're just trying to come off the ball as hard as they can, and you can't do that this day and age. People aren't going to sit still, and so I don't know if I overcoached the effort side of it and the strain side of it, and they were just trying to knock people backwards because we didn't do it the week before. And, sometimes you do that. Sometimes you overcoach things and not really on purpose until you see the film. You're like, man, they're going hard, but that's not what we want, So I got to find, I got to bring them in this week and say, hey, look, we got to find somewhere between this and that. We want to come off the ball and be physical, but we've got to have our eyes up. People are going to move, and we got to fit on things on the perimeter. And it's overall just offensively we've got to play better. We got to coach better.
Neil said in the first half that Sam James was probably your guys' best player. What did you see out of him?
Yeah, he did a really nice job. They had some long corners that they didn't run great, but they did a great job of keeping guys on the line on the releases. He did a really nice job with his releases on the line, with his secondary releases, with his pad level. Caught some balls, got straight up field, caught that screen, went straight up field. I mean, our first 3 drives, we were just really close when you watch the film to taking that thing down the field and scoring, and it would have been a different ball game. But all it takes is one guy. All of a sudden we miss a blitz or the quarterback misses a read, and that's when offense falls apart unless you have erasers. And right now we don't have an eraser. Sam's the closest thing we got to an eraser.
You can teach technique. You can teach assignments. How do you handle lack of physicality or toughness? How do you? You can't teach that.
Well, you just got to keep at practice. You got to keep dragging it out of them. You got to keep pushing them, and you got to keep, just talking to them about being more physical, and when you're out there on the practice field, demand it from them, and that's what we got to continue to do is demand that physicality from them, and you can't those plays that were made last year aren't just going to happen. They don't just happen out there. There's a reason that those guys made plays last year. It was, because they worked hard. And we got to understand the same thing. It's not just going to happen because it did last year.
Now, the process of looking at your backups and, during practice to see if guys are ready to come up, do you run the same things so that you can compare, player A and player B and see how they do certain things? What's that process like?
Well, every Monday night we have a Monday Night Football, and a lot of the guys that travel that didn't start, they play in that Monday Night Football, and they're running our offense, and that's what we run 15, 20 plays, and then we go back and grade that film last night and say, hey, look, who looks like they're ready to play. So that's a big part because it's a full speed scrimmage deal, and really once you get into game plan. During the week, so today and tomorrow when we go against our defense, when it's a live look, we'll put those guys in there and say, hey, maybe they look good against the scout team, but how are they going to do versus our defense live? And that's where you try to look at that and say, hey, is this guy better than this guy in front of him, or is he ready to go? So that's kind of how we do it. We don't sit there and run the same plays, but a lot of them are the same. For me, it's a man block's a man block, a double team's a double team, no matter what the play call is. So for me, it's a little easier than it is for some of the skill guys.
So, based on last night, who would you say you think looks ready to play, at least going into practice?
Well, the young tackles, they do a really good job. They're just not far enough along with Yates and Moore. They're physical, they move well, but they just, there's a difference between missing a block and like a catastrophic just going the wrong way. And that we didn't have a lot of that, you know what I mean? But those guys, as they go through the season and they keep working Monday Night Football, they're getting better and better. Bryson Mays, his snaps are way better. His physicality's gotten better. So he played a bunch of snaps last night. So, those are the three guys that really come to mind that Monday Night Football did a good job,
What could an explosive play do for your guys? Just somebody that misses somebody and goes up and makes a play on a ball and catches the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I'm a way better football coach when I have 2 or 3 erasers out there that all of a sudden, you miss a block and the quarterback throws it to a guy, he makes somebody miss and goes 80 yards. Everybody forgets about that block you miss, you know what I mean? But that's growing pains in the deal, and you gotta, if you don't have those guys, you got to be better and better up front. You got to get hats on hats. You can't allow run-throughs. You got to get movement at the point of attack, and I mean that's what we're supposed to do. And I got to do it, but like I said, I got to do a better job, obviously, of coaching these guys up to get where they're supposed to be.
How much do you think this can be attributed to needing to break out a big pass play to sort of loosen things up for the running game?
Well, yeah, I mean it's our boxes are very condensed right now, and a lot of it has to do with us not being able to get the offense going the way we want it going. Once we get the offense going, the box loosens up, and all of a sudden, we don't have to move a guy. We just fit on him, and there's a crease there. But that's like I said, that comes with the territory. We've been here before. Just got to keep coaching through it, and got to keep working, and got to believe in these guys that we got out there, and just trying to get them better every day.
You notice the guy like Colton, he was a senior, and he was actually playing well. That's a weird position for him, right? Because he's trying to get those other 5 guys as a peer group to come along.
Yeah, it's very frustrating for him. I mean, he and I have talked. He and Coach Brown have talked. It's frustrating for him. He's trying to, he's trying to be a leader, and he's trying to pull them through. But at the same time, he gets frustrated. But you go back and watch that game. I mean, he played. I think he can play better, but he played by far the best of anybody up front. He looked like he belonged, and there wasn't many other guys that looked like that.
Hey, Matt, this is all kind of like sad, it sounds like, right? But do you have things that you like there must be things that you feel like you can build from and get to some of the places you're talking about? Yeah,
I mean, I think we're going to get there. Like I said, the good thing is they responded to what they didn't do well the first week. They knew that they didn't come off the ball. They knew that they were playing too careful. And so this past week, I mean, you watch them, it wasn't lack of effort. We were coming off the ball. It's just when we were coming off the ball, we weren't doing it with correct technique. So we had guys moving and we were missing them. So we had guys unblocked at the point of attack. And, so there's definitely positives there. We can get better. I mean, we're going to get better. There's no doubt about it. We're going to get better. And we just got to keep working. And I don't think this mentality, this group is ever to give up. That's not my mentality. We're not going to. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep getting better week after week, just trying to make, small just small gains every day is what I try to get them to do. Just get better at something every day.
Coach, Alex Sinkfield was a guy who got in late and was able to move the ball. What did you see out of him, and what should we expect to see?
You know, I liked his decisiveness. You know, that was the big thing, is his decisiveness. When he got the ball, he was downhill. It wasn't patting his feet. It wasn't, hey, is this hole open? He got the ball and he went downhill. And, you know, some of that you got to look at. It wasn't against the starters either. I had my starters in there and they didn't. So that he was seeing a different look than those other guys when he got the ball in his hand. You know, so you got to look at that also. But I thought we came out there and we got in that drive and we just said, hey, we're going to run the ball right here. And you know, I kept the starters in, and there was nobody complaining about, hey, I don't, you know, the game, you know, they went in there and they played hard and they went after it. So there's definitely positives there to build on. The sink was a positive. Like I said, I thought he got the ball. He went north and south. He made a guy miss on the edge out there one time when he bounced it. So he definitely did some positive things.
Wasn't Timmons in there too?
Yes, yeah, we played, when we went into that set, we started playing some fullback and you know, running the ball in there with a fullback. So that was good to see as we went in there and we did some stuff, you know, at the end of the game there and got physical. But like I said, it wasn't against their starting four, so it wasn't good enough.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.